Welcome to The Right Approach, sponsored by Michelob Ultra. I'm Phil Fischmeister from Cascades Golf Course, and my guest today is Jackson Golf Hall of Famer Mike Brockie. Thanks for being here today, Mike.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Where's the Michelob Ultra?
That's for after the show.
Okay.
So, Mike, you were inducted into the Hall of Fame last fall. And so, first of all, I'm just kind of curious, what was it like getting that phone call, and what did that mean to you?
I tell you, I got a phone call from Elaine Crosby the Saturday after, no, I'm sorry, it was a Sunday after the Invitational at the Country Club. I played with a buddy, and honestly, I had seen Elaine out at the club, and I thought I was getting in trouble for something. I said, man, I must have said something or done something that didn't.
Not you, Mike.
Not me, but she was the one that informed me, and wow, I was honored. You look at all the guys that you play with, that I play with on a daily, weekly basis that are in the Hall of Fame, and you know people that I've looked up to, both as golfers, but more importantly as people, and to be in that group was to just to be mentioned, to, with Shane and Andrea and Pete and Raymond and Greg, and it was kind of like, holy cow, that's me. But yeah, I was very, and still am honored to be in that group of people. Well,
it's obviously well deserved. You got a great resume. Now, by my count, I think you have 23 local victories.
Okay.
And you are tied with Mark Kurzanowski for 6th Player of the Year awards.
Okay.
You and Mark have 6. I think Steve has 5. Steve Marolina.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. And you're second all-time to Steve in the most Player of the Year points ever since they've been doing Player of the Year points.
Gotcha.
So obviously very impressive. But, what I really remember was, you had a 7-year stretch from 2010 to 2016 where you were dominant.
Yeah.
So out of those 7 years, you were Player of the Year 6 of those 7 years.
Yeah. Probably didn't partake in many Michelob Ultras in that 7-year stretch. I must have. But yeah, that, everybody that plays this game has a good stretch when probably their brain's not getting in the way, and,
sure.
And trust me, I still remember those days. As you continue to play golf courses that you've played your whole life, now I'm at a point where, I'll step up to my second shot and I'll go, yeah, I remember when I used to be up there, or when I'm in the trees and I remember playing out of the fairway. But yeah, that was a good stretch.
Is there something in particular that you think, made you so successful during that little stretch there?
My driver and my wedges, I remember having really, really good control of my distances, kind of like Steve does on an annual basis.
Yep.
But I remember just driver, every course was driver 60. It was just, and I was doing it so much that I would hit it close to the hole a lot. And so, when you can do that, when you can play out of the short grass and hit the green in regulation and make some putts, your scores definitely reflect it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why Steve has had such a long career. For 40
absolutely.
years, hits almost every fairway, hits the green, and when you give yourself that many birdie looks, and you don't get in that much trouble,
no,
you're going to be so consistent. You're going to be right there every tournament.
Yeah.
So I remember, that was about the time I took over as director of golf here at Cascades, and it seemed like every other tournament I'm handing Mike a trophy. It's just, my staff would always ask every tournament, okay, who's going to win? And it's like, well, Mike Brockie, obviously. It seemed like you were, I think 15 of your 23 tournaments were during that 7-year stretch.
Yeah, that was, and like we were talking earlier, I didn't play high school golf. I didn't play college golf. I graduated from college. And then you become part of the workforce. So I would play the local tournaments were pretty much where I was introduced to competitive golf.
And it takes you a while to learn how to win.
It does. You go from playing golf to becoming a golfer, and then learning how to play in a final group and learning how to play with a little bit of pressure. And And it does. So that stretch probably reflects that the end of that learning curve, and then to now where I can play golf and be confident and be strong, because it takes you a while to learn how to play golf.
Yes, yeah, correct. And you look at some of the some of the guys that are out competing now, like Brett Velkacek, Colin O'Connell. They've been in the final group a couple times now, and they haven't quite gotten it done. But eventually they will. They're learning how to play in that final group with that pressure and learning how to win. And they, like you, did not play college golf. They were baseball players,
absolutely.
So they don't have that competitive golf experience.
They have the natural athlete, and they have the competitive drive, but golf is so much different than any other physical sport that you can't take a hold and you can't grab something. It's you and the 6 inches between your ears, and once you get a grasp on that, things kind of settle down a little bit.
Where you take other guys like your son Brogan and Cannon Reisner, they've been playing competitive golf for years. So they already have some local wins here, but they have a little bit more seasoning of playing under that pressure and playing in those competitive tournaments.
You look at Cannon. I mean, his dad Chad, Cannon grew up playing competitive golf with him. Brogan buddies, and my kids, they grow up around. I mean, Brogan, he's carted more rounds with Shane and Andrea than almost me, because we still play a lot of golf together. So yeah, they were a little bit more on the fast track of learning how to play golf with I won't say what I say, but yeah, they went on the fast track of being in that competitive situation, and the nerves definitely were a little bit calmer than.
Now, speaking of your son, last year you had the unique experience of you and Brogan were in a playoff for the spring thaw.
Yeah.
So what was that like, being in a playoff with your son? Was there a little bit of part of you that you thought like, man, I'd really like to see Brogan win this one, or did you want to win that one just as bad as any other one?
Oh no, and my poor kids, that's where I get that from my dad. They're gonna have to beat me.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna, and that goes back to I think I double bogeyed 18 or bogeyed 18 from the fairway bunker. And I don't think I've ever played out of that fairway bunker before in my life. I mean, all I had to do is hit it in the fairway, hit it on the green, and go shake your hand again. No, I blow it in the bunker, hit it over the green, miss my par putt, find out I'm in a playoff with Brett and Brogan. And then, I'm still shifting gear. I haven't shifted gears yet. I didn't shift gears until on the second hole. I hit a good drive, and I got 230 into the green, and I look up, and Brogan's standing just almost next to the 150 bush, and I'm going, wow, what? Seriously? So he hits driver 7-iron, and I missed my par putt, so I knew I was out of it. So at that point, I was just like, and he chipped it up to like 3 feet above the hole, and from the time he did that and he marked his ball till the time he made the putt, it was the longest 2.5 minutes, just because you want that so much for them.
Oh, so, yeah, absolutely.
But that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yes, it was.
There's only one person in the field that I'd ever want to get beat by, and that would be him.
Yep. Well, that's a good transition, talking about how far Brogan hits the ball. So back, 10 years ago, you were really long, and you're still long, but not like you used to be. But what I was amazed watching that playoff, like you said, you hit a good drive, and Brogan's 40 yards past you.
Yeah,
So, first of all, how much distance have you lost over the last few years? But then also the young kids nowadays, they just bomb the ball.
They do.
And it seems like all of them bomb the ball.
But you know what? I say that. I mean, I can remember a day when I had an iron into 2. I remember tapping it on number 7. I remember I was playing with Pete, and Pete come up to me after, he goes, dude, I've never seen anybody hit it on 7 before, and I 3-putted. So I said, Pete, if the tournament was just who can hit the best drive on 7, I would have won, but I didn't win because I didn't do the rest of my job. But I don't think don't think people are that much crazy longer. I can still get it out there probably 25 yards, 30 yards sometimes from where I used to be, but it's just I'm not as consistently long.
Yeah, sure.
I'm trying, and I'm still using old technology because I'm a creature of habit. I mean, my equipment is so old, and I struggle to put new equipment in my hands and feel comfortable. I'm not ready to try to learn how to hit new clubs. So I could probably gain a little bit of distance going to the new stuff, but not enough to try to have to put forth the effort to learn how to hit a new driver. So,
speaking of your distance, you have a pretty unique swing.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of those guys that if you're 200 yards away, you see a guy swing a golf club right away, you can say, that's Mike Brockie. And so your swing's unique. Your putting's very unique.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have any formal lessons, or is your swing self-taught?
Oh, it's totally self-taught. Yeah, I think everybody's has their own golf DNA. I swing the way my body, my brain see the game. It's the way everybody. If you try to swing like somebody else, you're in for a long year. So, no, I know that you see different swings on tour. As long as you get that club face back to square, you're gonna and you repeat it, you're gonna be successful. And that's one thing I was very repetitive. I repeated what I knew more and more. But I also know how to read my ball flight. I know that if my ball flight is low left, I know why. If it's high right, I know why. I'm a mechanic of my own swing, so that I'm rarely going to make the same mistake within a round, within a 3-hole stretch, the same mistake twice, because I'm going to read my ball flight and I'm going to figure out what I'm doing wrong. And I think that's
extremely important.
It is, and it's a lost art, because nowadays these young kids, they want to
go in front of the TrackMan and get there.
They want to be, but they want every shot's got to be perfect. And they don't understand that if you can learn how to play your misses, you're gonna be fine. It's just anybody can shoot 72 from the middle of the fairway and on the green. It's when you hit it in the trees, how are you going to mentally react and not melt down to finish that hole and put, at worst, a bogey on the card.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in addition to your golf career, you also are the Hanover Horton men's golf coach.
I am.
And you guys just finished up a pretty successful season last weekend.
What I would consider very successful. With I had 2 returning seniors, Brady Applegate and Ryder Pickering, that had really good junior years. They lost out their freshman year to COVID, so they really only had a 3-year high school career. And that freshman, I look at them, and if they could have spent a season with Jack Brockie and Kyler and Brogan, they did spend a year with Brogan, but Jack, they missed out on a lot of learning, and just how Jack conducts himself. It's it really would have helped them a lot. So they were what I call young seniors.
Yeah.
And then I had a senior that transitioned from baseball to golf, probably one of the, just a pure athlete. And the first year, he just started playing golf last summer with my 1 and 2, Brady and Ryder. So he spent last summer playing with them, and he decided, I'm gonna play golf. And he hits the ball like I used to. I mean, I remember first practice, he steps up on number 1 at Arbor Hills and knocks it over the green, and I'm going. And then when he get up to the green, he would set up to chip, and it's like he just read Hogan's book. Everything he did
just came natural.
And he shot at the state finals at Forest Acres West, which is a tough course. As his first time ever playing, really, he shot 85-82. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. So, and then I had 2 sophomores that had played in the state finals last year, Hoyt Rona and John Walbaum, and you know, what I say, we show up as a bunch of rednecks from Hanover, and we play against all these Catholic schools, and to finish 6th, I was very proud.
Yeah, very, very good finish, and you guys actually beat out Lumen Christi too. So
yeah, that doesn't happen very often. I mean, they had I will say we probably, our numbers 335, 329, those were pretty close to what we shot all year.
Yeah.
And Lumen didn't shoot close to what they did all year,
Yeah,
so they struggled.
They did.
But I mean, Dave's resume is,
speaks for itself.
it's amazing.
Well, you know, speaking of your unique golf swing, a little bit of your unique putting setup, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get a little putting lesson from Mike.
All right, sounds good.
Welcome back to The Right Approach, presented by Michelob Ultra. Mike and I are out here in the 9th green at Cascades, and Mike, instead of playing a hole, I kind of wanted to kind of analyze your putting a little bit, because just like your golf swing that you can see, you know, across the golf course, I can always recognize your putting stroke from across the golf course. So I've always been fascinated by your approach to putting. So I wouldn't mind if you just want to kind of walk us through, excuse me, a little bit of your setup and your grip.
Okay.
You know, I noticed that you have a center shafted putter that is very upright.
Very upright and very, very old. This is, boy, I bet you I've been using this for probably 20 years. It's an Odyssey. They call it the Odyssey 5 center shafted, and I've got 2 or 3 other putters that are all center shafted, and it doesn't matter. I may get the other one out for a day or two, but I always come back to Old Faithful. Yeah. It's just one of those things that I'll probably use it till the day I die.
I'm kind of the same way. I think I've been using this for about 13 years now, and I occasionally, you know, go to a different putter when I'm struggling.
You got to threaten it with trunk time. You have to.
Yep, but I always come back to this.
Absolutely.
So, all right, so if you want to address the ball, again, so you're center shafted, very upright, you know, and I notice your grip is kind of unique.
Yeah,
you know, in the sense that your thumbs don't go down the shaft like normal, they're kind of off to the side.
My thumbs are definitely on the side. Very light grip pressure, and you know, when I'm getting ready to putt, I'm usually looking at the hole, and then I do what Shane and I call milking the putter. You'll see my hands, you know, it's like I'm milking, but I'm just I'm always keeping a light grip pressure, trying to find that line, and then when it's time, it's just a good
kind of a tension release, that milking the putter.
Yep, you don't
and kind of have a trigger to kind of start the stroke.
Yep, and then once I apply the final pressure, it's usually go time.
Yep. And so what's the purpose of the thumbs to the side of the
What
grip?
I'm trying to do is, if you look at it from the side, is I'm trying to create an angle with my wrists that are rigid and firm, so that I don't get any get wristy. What I call quick fire wristy moves, which helps me control my distance. So, you know, it's here. I'm a little upright, as you can see.
Yep,
I'm very upright. I'm very heel up. Now, granted, that's not the way the putter's designed to be used. So it's very important that when you have something unorthodox, it's very important that I do hit the ball in the sweet spot, because I am so heel up. My sweet spot it's eliminated a little bit, because I'm not, the putter's not coming into the ball the way it's designed to.
Yeah.
So
you have very little arc, more of a straight back, straight through.
Yep, straight back, straight through. The only thing I really try to do after impact is I do try to get that toe a little bit closed to try to put a little bit more topspin roll on it.
Okay.
But I do, you know, another throw. I'm a plumb bobber. I've always, you know, you see them using the aim point nowadays, but I'm a plumb bobber from way back. I'll plumb a putt from both sides.
Yep.
I really.
What do you think of the aim point? Have you tried that, or?
I mean, my dad could probably do it because he was a calculus teacher, but I don't have a chance in hell. There's too much. I'm not that smart. But no, I mean, I see the guys. I understand that it's specific. Actually, it's probably just a more advanced version of plumb bob. So ultimately, it's the way I plug in and find a little bit of confident thought before I let it go.
Yep. Now, going back to your high hands, you stand close to the ball.
Very close.
Which I tend to do the same thing. But what I tend to get in trouble with when I get close to the ball, high hands, my eyes get outside the golf ball. And I get in trouble and I go back outside and come through inside. Is that something that you check your eyes?
I do. My son, I work with my son Brogan a lot on that, and he and I will ask him from time to time. I say, hey, get behind me and plumb bob my eyes. So, and I have him, so he'll do it. I basically say, okay, you're 2 balls out over front. But what I do, even though I am really close to the ball, probably my biggest asset, this thing, is it's always out. I always have a good spine angle. Yeah. What happens is a lot of people get upright and they're here. Yep. But so even though I am close to the ball, I know where my eyes are, and if I do get out of whack, it's 9 times out of 10 because my eyes are too far inside or I'm too far over the ball.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Mike, because like you said, I don't have that spine angle. So when I get upright, I get too far over it, and instead of getting that spine angle. Yeah. Do you like your eyes right on the ball or inside the ball?
No, I want them right on the ball. Right on.
Yep, again, because you're more straight back, straight through. Where I tend to putt with an arc, so I try to get my eyes a little bit inside the ball. Okay. Now, before we leave, what about pressure putts? So, with all the 23 or so local tournament wins you have here, when you're getting down the stretch on the last hole or in a playoff, you've got a putt to win, and that pressure really mounts up. Is there anything, different that you do, to kind of combat that pressure over those putts?
It probably has more to do with when I'm putting not under pressure. I just told my the high school kids before the state tournament and before the season that when I'm out, if I go play 1 hole, if I go play 2 holes, it doesn't matter. I'm in tournament mode because I am always in golf. You need someone to practice with to play basketball. You need someone to play catch with. There's always Mr. Par out there. I'm always going against Mr. Par. So I am always in tournament mode. So it doesn't matter if you guys weren't here and I was out here putting a 5-footer for par by myself. I'm in tournament mode because I want to make this putt. So I get my preparation. So this putt, I've always got that pressure on me. So when I am under pressure, it feels normal.
It feels normal.
And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be human if I didn't say I don't get nervous, but I'm constantly putting that pressure on myself to say, okay, when it's time to go, I'm ready because I am always trying to make my putts.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to approach it because,
But then the last thing in tournaments I usually tell myself is I think my daughter Molly could make this putt. So if she can make it, I think I can make it.
That's a great way to add. Well, Mike, thanks a lot for coming out and sharing your putting philosophy.
Thank you.
And again, congratulations on the Hall of Fame induction.
Thank you.
And hopefully you got a lot more tournament wins coming your way in the future.
I got a lot of work to do. I think I need to shed about 60 pounds and get back to my old fighting weight, and then we can talk about it. But yeah, I'm always gonna try to compete.
All right, well, thanks for watching The Right Approach. Again, brought to you by Michelob Ultra.